seconds. You ain't drinking?
No. Yeah. Thank you.
I like that.
What? Hey. Welcome back. Must be two sides. It's your one and only Shea Butter. And I have next to me my beautiful mom,
Tamika.
It's your boy Cass Half.
It's your auntie favorite nephew, but you can call me Woog.
I'm the son of Doc Chill.
I'm Tavi. I'm wardrobe stylist.
Gang.
Daddy. What's your real name?
Ty Mopkins.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming.
About time I get an invite. I don't ever get invited to do podcasts.
Well, you're always welcome. We have invited you, Dad. You be busy, booked and busy.
Yeah,
that's what
we
happens.
did catch you at the premiere, though.
Yeah. You know, I've learned to dip in and dip out of stuff, and don't try to be seen as much no more. So, but kind of played it back now.
Yeah,
I let my daughter do all that now. She can have it.
I'm trying. You know, he taught me well. I'm trying.
You're doing it.
You're doing it.
Definitely.
It's a family affair today.
Hey, you're a legend. Honestly, I am definitely inspired. I will say that much. I definitely am. I have to do a lot of research sometimes because he definitely don't tell me a lot. So I have to find it out on my own. And yeah, it's a lot. And
the one thing I've learned, what I do is what I do. I don't ever bring it home. If they find out, they find out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Like the fact that I didn't know you had been drawing since you were 5.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize, like, I always wonder what inspired you to making your own clothing and designing your own things and designing your own sneakerwear. But to know that at 5 you were drawing, no, I didn't know that. So that was a good learning experience. I was excited to learn that much.
Right. Well, I was always into fashion because my father was a real nice dresser. So they came up in the era where you wore slacks and gaiters and dress shoes. Well, we call them dress shoes, but and then nice button ups and suits and things like that. So I always used to watch the way how my dad used to get dressed and things like that. It wasn't no just get up and throw on something and go to the store. Like my dad, back in those days, you took baths. So you had to sit in the bathtub, get clean just to go to the store if you just only going to get a pack of cigarettes or whatever. So my dad would always say, look like $1 million if you only got a nickel because you're going to fool somebody. And the way our culture is, and I hate using the word culture because culture is for sale. You can buy culture. So the way our heritage is set up, I use heritage a lot. So heritage is something that was done before us, and it just keeps evolving and keeps circling around. So, the way our heritage is set up, we care about our appearance. We care about how we look. Everything got to be cold, especially people from Detroit. That's another thing. So you can always identify when a person is from Detroit by the way they walk, talk, dress, their whole demeanor. So like when I go all around the U.S. and see people, you can tell who's from Detroit just from the whole Detroit attitude.
And I asked that a couple of weeks ago. I said, is there such thing as being too flashy, being from where we're from?
I don't think it's flashy. I just think it's us. It's I don't think, you got people that love jewelry and, love the way they look. And you got some people that's just calm and cool, but still looks good the way they dress and all that stuff. I don't think it's attitude. I just think it's when you're from Detroit, you already have a certain aura on you. Or you got to be cream, or you got to be crispy, or you got to be fresh. So now you know, the terms have changed over the years. Like when me and Doc grew up, we was fresh. Then it came funky fresh. You guys say crispy. I got to be on point. Got to be that. So when those terms change, it's changing with the environment and it's changing with the way we was brought up. And one thing about Detroiters, we know how to dress and we know how to put shit together. Yeah.
So, Tave, you coming from the stylist standpoint of it, like when he says like, you know, how the fashion is evolving, when you're dealing with clients, like, do you have to, like, would you have to like get? How do you feel like when you're actually dressing your clients? Like, you know, Ty has the starter jackets. Ty, she does a great job. You know, if you don't want to look like the mannequin fellas, this is the person that you come to. You know what I'm saying? So, coming from the stylist standpoint, where, you know what I'm saying, with the evolving, how is it that you come up with your process?
You know what? That's a great question, and nobody really asked a question like that before. So, the way I would answer this would say, 9 times out of 10, when you wake up, you pretty much already know what you're going to throw on the next day. So you're already mentally preparing of what you're wearing. Like your body is a canvas. So I look at it like this. You got artists that tells their stories through paint and canvases and brushes and all that stuff. I tell my story through needle and thread and fabrics. So what you first have to do is build a platform for yourself where when they ask you for your services and they ask you to be hired, they already know what you're capable of doing. And normally when somebody come to me and ask me, because before starter jackets, you know, I was putting together outfits for some of the people, because I got my start at Strictly Sportswear. It's on 7 Mile. So I started there almost 28 years now. So I've learned different textures, different fabrics, different products. I didn't seen brands come and go. And the one thing that I was always good at was putting outfits together and matching up. Because one thing about Detroit, we're going to match head to toe. Whatever I put on, it's going to match whatever we do. So I was already cold at doing that. So when people ask my resume, I say, listen, I done dressed everybody from the late great Blade Icewood to Justin Bieber. So, you know, when you got a profile like that and when you got a whole demeanor like that, it's pretty much easy to get people, and they already know what I'm capable of when they come to me. If that makes sense.
When you dress somebody,
you seem nervous, man. You all right, man?
A little bit.
Don't be nervous. It's cool, man.
Because it's like, you know, I can't call you sir, so it's like Ty. You know, so I'm so used to
call me
saying.
Ty.
I thought about that.
Yeah,
she's
like to answer her question. Yeah, on fashion.
Yeah.
So for me with fashion, it's innovative. Like he mentioned, we're in a different time, but it's fun. Everyone has an idea of what they want to look like, and as a wardrobe stylist, it's for me to execute it. So with that being said, what that looks like is everyone doesn't want to look like the same person that they're inspired by. However, they want to be a similar version. For me to come in is to execute it, but to never do the same thing. And I tell everyone that I work with, I'm not here to mimic anything no one else has done. I'm here to bring out your best version of you. And with that, I do style. Now, what Ty mentioned is he's a designer where I've studied design and I went to college for it, but it's not just something that I'm creatively able to do. But I am able to execute a person no different than a mannequin. But no one wants to look like the same person that everyone is looking like. And I feel like he mentioned, here in Detroit, we have, I want that mannequin look. No, we want to stand out in a way that we want to be our best version of ourselves. So with that being said, I just ask probing questions because, again, everyone wants to look inspirational. They want to be fashion forward, but it's for me to pick their brain to figure out exactly what that looks like and to create that vision for them that is not the same thing as the person that's standing next to them. So just asking probing questions, I feel like, and what gets me to that ending result for everyone. Because like I said, we all have someone out there that we look at for inspiration, but we don't want to look like them. We're just like, I like what they style. I like their style, but I want it to be just a little bit different to be who I am. Because everyone, I don't care who it is, even if they say that they're the least stylish person, has a look. They want something, but how do we bring it out? So it's really just that, just literally bringing them full circle.
Yeah, you know what? Just to piggyback on that as well too. So, we came up in an era where we didn't want to look like nobody else.
Right.
You see now everybody looking the same. So that's why.
My next question.
Okay. Well, I ain't gonna spoil it. Go ahead. I ain't gonna spoil it. I ain't gonna spoil it.
Well, this not just, and it's not really just so like. Let's not say when I say like looking exactly alike, but it's like now. Do y'all feel like fashion has kind of gone down now that everybody is just like here in Detroit? If a particular brand comes out, like when Balenciaga came out, everybody just jumped to Balenciaga. And to me personally, I didn't really like them big ass shoes. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it a bean.
No offense.
No offense to nobody who and. So my thing is,
all that much.
Yeah, and that's the thing now. Like, do y'all feel like fashion has been cut because people want to wear higher, expensive? The designer like has the name brand situation kind of ruined fashion as far as how people are, how you might go about styling. Because if you look now, it's like now Balenciaga well, let's just give Kanye his credit. Kanye came with like a different kind of look, and it's kind of like everybody just jumped on that wave because they seen how quick the money came for him to come. You know, so
no, for me personally, everything has an era. But so during your history, at some point it's going to be a designer portion of it where everybody is going to wear the latest designers. Right. But then it's going to tap in where they're going to come out of that, and now it's fast fashion, trendy, what's trending. And then it's going to jump back. So everything kind of circles back around, if you will. So we're just kind of repeating history in a sense. And when it comes to style, that's really what it is. So right now, designers are the leading forefront of everything that's going on. It's not a bad thing, but it's more so how do you make it your own? So it's creating your own. And they're saying like you like their pieces, but create your own style within that piece. And I think that sometimes you can get away from it because a lot of people do like labels, but everything still piggybacks. So I don't think it's more so that everybody's trying to look the exact same, but everybody doesn't have that style standpoint where they can go into a store and see a bunch of designers and pick from what they want. So again, that's where either a stylist come in, no different than Ty and myself and some of the other creative individuals around the city or even just around the world, is how to take that designer, pair it with a YSL. If you notice now, I have on a Chanel and a YSL, where back in the 90s, it was matchy, where now it's more of mixing brands to create that seamless look, because it doesn't have to all be one brand. Again, in the 90s, it was that one brand. You had to have on Gucci from head to toe, or you had to have on Guess from head to toe. So I think right now it's just the forefront because people are mixing patterns with designers, if that makes sense. So,
and just to touch on the whole Balenciaga thing like that, I think, and I'll be brutally honest, because I've been, like I said, I've been here and there and I didn't seen it all. Like, y'all Gucci ain't our Gucci. Like y'all got weird Gucci. I'm just being weird. I'm just being real. I'm being real. Y'all,
I appreciate it.
Because the Gucci's we had was a lot colder. Was a lot colder and it meant something, and it was better made, if that makes sense. Like with the Italian leather, the quality was way, because now these designers that designed for Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all they did is copied off of what streetwear was doing. They copied off of. I just became creative director for Pony, so I'm bringing back Pony. And so here in Detroit, we said 2 words when we try to represent Pony, which was Pony down. Right. So if like the ones I have on now, I got on the M100s. This shoe has been knocked off by Louis Vuitton. It's been knocked off by Chanel. It's been knocked off by so many other brands, Fendi and all that stuff. So it's like they take a little bit of our heritage. Notice I didn't say culture. It's our heritage. And they fool you into they're doing it, because now we're so memorized by, I gotta have this, I gotta get the Louis, I gotta get the Gucci, when in our era and even to this day, what I try to preach is we don't have to wear all that, because when we came up, we wanted to be different. We didn't, if all y'all was wearing Gucci, guess what, I was gonna go wear something else, and I was gonna stand out, because all y'all look the same. All y'all look like all y'all gonna look like Immature, the group Immature. Well, I'm gonna go over here and be a solo artist, and you stand out more, because when you put a fit together, what you wanted to do was get that. What does that look like? Where you get that from? Not what are those? Like y'all, they took that and made it corny with the what are those. But when we came up, we wanted to be different. So back in the day when I came up, we had Adidas. So Adidas had their run with YBI, which is Young Boys Incorporated. So they would do all the Levi outfits and Adidas top 10s and things like that. So that's how Pony Down came about, because they was rivals with YBI. So all they wore was ponies. So now, you know, when Adidas got a little stale, we moved on and people started wearing Fila. And so the acronym for Fila's in the street was, finally I'm leaving Adidas. That's what we would say about Fila. Then if you really wanted to take it up a tier more, it was a brand called Van Grack. So now we would do Van Grack, and then we would do YSL. So a lot of people don't realize back in the day, Fairlane had a YSL store and a Van Grack store in there. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, we always molded on being different. I don't know where this see, culture is when everybody look alike. Heritage is when you stand off on your own.
I have a question.
I think right now, because fast fashion is a big thing, that these brands are literally trying to compete with the consumer of getting it right now. When fashion was rolling out, everyone was looking to stand out, and right now fashion is a touch. It's at the palm of your hand. You think about it, it's on your screen. So these brands, the quality, I do agree with them, is deterrent, because it's not. They're producing on such a fast pace because they're trying to keep up with the trends and things that's going on, that the quality is out of the brands. But however, I still feel like our era is still the shit. I'm sorry. Because even though, I'm not gonna lie, and even though they like he mentioned, they were coming up with different brands, because at that time we didn't have a voice in the streets. So even when he says our heritage, I like that he said that, because it is a culture thing, but our heritage didn't have a voice in this. So when we got a voice, we're like trying to compete with these big competitors. So now that we're trying to compete and we get to walk in that room and be in that door, it's like we're trying, unfortunately, it's taking the creativity out of it, and you're trying to compete on a level where you're trying to get the consumers to come to your brand and not the other brand. So it seems like it's all repetitive.
Because it's funny now that...
Well, let me say this, because when you buy those European luxury brands, you're paying for the name and not the quality, because they really giving you shitty quality.
That's really all you're doing nowadays, is paying for the name and not the quality, because you'd be like, what?
And let's be honest, all these European brands really got over during the pandemic, because everybody had expendable money. So now you've never seen so many people wearing all these luxury items. So it's like, okay, and they saw that. Why you think they put the Gucci store downtown Detroit? Because if you Google Gucci, Detroit is the most searched city for Gucci in across the world. That's a guaranteed fact.
True, but
that's a guaranteed fact.
They wanted us to be a small version of Chicago. So they were doing that, was in the making prior to the pandemic, though.
Yeah, but that's a poor decision, because our economy is not stronger than Chicago. We don't have enough restaurants. We don't have enough buildings and enough jobs here like Chicago. Chicago is like a mini New York. So to them to put a Gucci store downtown Detroit, I'd never wish any bad luck on anybody, but I don't see that being here in 6 years, because the way the economy is set up, and you get the wrong type of traffic going through there, because we all know when somebody's hungry, they're gonna go eat, and those windows are gonna come down, and product is gonna start disappearing,
Definitely.
and then the economy is going, then the property value goes down, and then you got a lot of things that's happening here in the city of Detroit that depends on development. Then once they start getting black eyes in these business and things like that, then you see these developers pull up. So I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I just see it.
Right.
I have a question.
I see it differently, though. I'm not gonna lie. I hope that we can sustain.
But see, I can see for us, it's like we want to see it, but I also see it from where they're standing is, because it's like it's the location. Like our downtown isn't everybody else's downtown. Like so. At one corner, you can be in a nice area, but you turn right there on that alley, you got, you know what I'm saying, we got our homeless problems.
And that's the one thing I tell people all the time when I do these seminars, whether it's for Nike or whatever. I tell somebody, first and foremost, I'm from the real Detroit, and not the social media Detroit. Because the social media Detroit will fool you.
Exactly.
Because all the social media Detroit do is show you downtown. But like you just said, if you go 2 blocks to the east or you go 2 blocks to the west, that's the real Detroit. And that shit ain't pretty.
Exactly.
So I get you.
Because you got the Brush Street Apartments was supposed to be a brand. Remember how everybody was so because then that was like the first apartment that black people could finally afford to get down to. You go down to the Brush Apartments now, you like, man, this kind of look like this King home.
Exactly.
If not worse.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And you got to imagine too. You got to imagine 2 minutes away, you got King's Homes.
Exactly.
And,
So when you talk about putting, and that's where they getting at, where they like, no, our economy can't. We can't. You know what I'm saying? But I get it because we want to have.
And I want it to happen.
Yeah, like we all want it to happen, but it's just like it's been so much stuff that is going on, and there's so much stuff where we've been putting other money where it should have been going towards getting stuff together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That really we ain't really found out.
The one thing Detroit made a mistake with, and this is even before us, when you bring up cities like Chicago, the one thing they did excellent was they built businesses and they built living off of the water. We never did anything off our water until finally now, maybe. So when you have a view like you have with downtown and the water, if you look across that water, it's another country. So that's one thing we never really capitalize on when it comes to that. See, I can go all day with this because I'm just not really fashion. I'm more political and things like that. Like I've been offered a lot of times to run for an office, but I'll never do it. I'll never run for an office for Detroit because once you get in the office, they handcuff you and then you become a puppet somewhere. So I could do more outside of an office than I can in office. So
2 questions.
Okay.
How was the 80s? And what era inspires you the most when it comes to designing things?
For sure, 80s and mid 90s. Because 80s, we had the birth of hip hop. So that's when you had all of the activewear brands. So when I say activewear brands, I'm talking about Adidas, Reebok, Fila, Pony, Puma, Benetton, companies like that, Lacoste. You had the real Izod, which turned into Lacoste. So and then you had the original Ralph Lauren,
Brutini,
Sergio Tacchini, Van Grack. You had Lecoq Sportif. You had Lottos. You had things like that. So that 80s consists of athletic wear. So that was the higher end fashion for us in the 80s. Now, when you go to the 90s, that's when you hear a word that says a lot here now, which is called streetwear. So streetwear is when you get the cross colors, the Maurice Malones, the Fubus, the Bold Guess, and all that stuff like that. So I said anywhere between 85 to 95 was the best year in fashion, far as like everything that you see now. Because if you notice what Shay is wearing a Black History Month jacket I did with the Pistons 2 years ago.
Right.
And that was inspired by the old school 8-ball jacket.
Right.
So things like that. One thing about that era, it always repeats itself so many times. So,
and another question too. You know how when you design your starter jackets, and years ago when they first came out, people were getting harmed for them or killed and everything, or robbed for them. Has that ever crossed your mind when you come up with a design like that? That's a hot commodity that people may not have.
I got 3 different answers for that.
Well,
The first one is yes, because I actually got checked in for a jacket before. So growing up in Detroit, 3 words you don't want to hear if somebody walk up on you is check it in. So I was one of the first ones in my neighborhood with a Philadelphia 76er jacket, starter jacket. So I had that. And so I had that, and I got robbed for it right there on Grand River in Oakland at this place called Juno's. Shout out Juno's. So got robbed for that. And the ironic part is 25 years later, I released that same jacket again with Starter. I created it. And I told the story with it, and we sold it out in minutes. So,
because that's one thing about you, like to tell stories.
Yeah, because that's what you got to do. And speaking of today, this last release I just did was the Christmas candy cane one.
Right.
I did with the Pistons. They broke into Little Caesars Arena and the pro shop and stole the jackets out of there.
And see, this is some insider stuff. We never heard about that. We never heard about that.
Yeah. I just found this out a couple of days ago when we did the photo shoot for the new Black History Month jackets. That's available tomorrow, February 6th.
One more thing too. I am currently
Hold on, wait. We didn't get the third answer.
Oh, wait.
We got to get that third answer.
Third answer was the plug for this year's version of the Black History Month.
Okay.
I am currently on the bench because I don't have a Ty Mopkins starter jacket yet. I need to get one of those.
I'm glad you said that. So, one thing about this, whenever you do something, what we talked about earlier about the niche. The niche. You got to come up with the niche. We got to come up with the niche. So when I started doing starter jackets, I had to realize, okay, this haven't been in the market for like 30 years. This haven't been in the market. Hasn't been, I was about to use some old school slang. Hasn't been booming.
Right.
So how can I do it to make it different? So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a release date on it. Because during this time when I started doing the jackets, that's when the sneaker phrase, I've been in the industry too much, the gym shoe phrase. See, here in Detroit, we say gym shoes.
Yeah.
Right.
All across the world, they say sneakers. Just like when I'm in New York or on the East Coast, when I say pop, they look at me crazy because they call it soda.
Right.
So,
I mean, when I was down south and they said, I was like, we say pop.
We say
Yeah.
That
pop.
was the first time I heard
You
it in
be-
Nashville,
you be looking
soda.
at- man,
And
right.
when I used to say gym shoes, they like,
And they
Yeah.
look at you so crazy,
Yeah.
like, what's that?
yeah.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
when I was doing it, I said, I got to come up with a niche. Okay, my patch is going to be on the inside. So starter. How can I brand starter? Okay, bet. Because everybody in life want to be a starter.
Right.
When y'all do y'all podcast, this is your starting cast, right?
Right.
Nobody want to sit over in these chairs over here because they on the bench.
Right.
So even when you play in sports, you want to start. You want to do anything. You want to no. Nobody. No. I'm saying in general. I'm saying in general. So like even in sports, you want to start.
Right.
That's your goal. So now it's like I said, bet. I need y'all to check the inside of your starter. If it's not a Ty Mopkins patch in there, how did I say it? I said if it's not a Ty Mopkins starter, your ass still on the bench.
Right.
And so now
I like that.
that way, this is the funny part. People break their necks to walk up to me to show me the inside of their jackets. See, I'm starting. Or they'll DM me a picture and do this and like that. So no, that's all a part of marketing and branding with that too. So I had to distance myself from what everybody else was doing.
Right. If you could repeat an era, what would it be?
That 10-year stretch that we talked about between the 85 to 95, because that's when it was an abundance of real money out here.
Right.
It wasn't fake. This stuff right here. It wasn't fake money like that. It wasn't scamming. It wasn't PPP loans and wasn't.
It was dope.
It was real money.
dope.
It was real money.
I kind of wish I did.
It was real money. It was real money. So I would say that 10-year stretch between 85 and 95 because, it's funny. Me and my wife have this conversation all the time. Like I just turned 51 in January. So our era,
Bless.
and Doc can contest to this too. Our era was the best era to come up in ever. Because we caught the tail end of Motown. We caught the birth of hip hop. We caught the funk. We caught rock and roll. We caught rhythm and blues, known as R&B now. We caught real rhythm and blues.
Techno.
Yeah, techno. Shout out to my cousin Juan Atkins. He's one of the godfathers of techno. So, our era was the best. We came through with the advancement of technology, whether it was a cordless phone, whether it was beepers, things like that. So that era taught us a lot. Like now, I don't know, but I would say 85 to 95 for me.
Very fashionable in that era.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
say that. Very, very.
Also,
Hold on.
Wait, my bad,
Let me
my bad.
ask my
I'm
question.
about to shout out Roseline. This is good. That's all I'm gonna do. This is good. Roseline is good right now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right, he on the
That's all I'm
road.
gonna say. Roseline is good. You can
Like
get
my
your
turn,
question.
dang it!
You
I
can
got
have your
you,
question.
Cass.
I just want to say Roseline is good.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ, bro.
Go ahead. Go
It's all
ahead.
right.
Shout out to
Toast the
Roseline.
Roseline.
Must be.
Shout out to Roseline.
There you
That's all I'm
go.
gonna say.
There you go. There you go.
Go get it at Rivermark off of Jefferson.
Yep, the Myers,
Liquor.
and then we just picked up some more locations, so we'll be talking about that soon. So the way I came into that, shout out to my partners at Motu VJ over in Grand Rapids, my boy Squill, and everybody else, Willie, Jonathan, everybody that brought me in. So by me doing different events and things like that and having different releases all over the country, we would go to these after parties. and they would celebrate with bottles and drinks and all that stuff, and it wasn't us, meaning that everything wasn't black owned,
Right.
but they celebrating us. So I wanted to create something where we can celebrate us with us, if that makes sense. So, you know, I've always wanted to do a wine because I'm not, you know, the days of me drinking liquor is long gone. I can't do it no more. You know, me and liquor really don't drill no more. Once you get a certain age, you want to mellow out.
I'm there with you.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I can't hang with my daughter. You know, my daughter likes to, you know, go. So what I did was I had a vision. So I talked to my boy Skrill. So Skrill was like, hey, I got some guys in Grand Rapids. You know, they have their own facilities. They doing champagne, vodka, and they have a wine. I said, well, hey, let's hook up because I want to do a wine. So I wanted to do something where, because when you hear wine, you think feminine.
Right.
Like, yeah, but now you see more than ever more guys drinking wine than ever before. So I didn't want the bitter taste. I didn't want to create a wine where we shaking the glass, letting it breathe, and then putting it in your mouth and swish it around. I pause. I don't know how that sounds, but I'm just saying the way how wine people do. The way how wine people do. So I just wanted to be where we can open a bottle and just chill with it. If it's five guys, we drinking it. So
we
you
can
know,
put it in a red cup.
there you go. You can still do that.
And I'm glad. You know what? I'm glad you said that because when I was drinking this, I'm like, you know, I hope we not disrespecting the brand by drinking this out of a certain type of cup. Because you know, when you say that, you know,
when you buy it, it's yours. You do what you want to do with it. I don't care as long as you,
As long as you bought it.
as long as you bought it, as long as you got that receipt.
But, you know, it's like certain brands, like with the car situation.
Right.
I want to say it's Ferrari or something like that.
Right.
If you add on to their stuff, they won't work with you anymore. Type shit.
No, they won't
You know
because you feel like you're defacing their product, which in fact you is, and you shouldn't do that. I mean, just like.
Go ahead, tell us what you like about you. Yeah, how are they defacing the starter jacket? What is the That's what I wanted to get to. It came full circle.
Okay.
What don't you like when you see a starter jacket, right?
Okay.
What grinds your gears when you see somebody walk up to you and they like, look, I ain't on the bench.
Right. But because starter is family, so I don't feel a certain way to starter. It'd be with the other brands.
I won't say
with the other brands that try to look like starter.
Okay.
And they've been watching what we've been doing.
Okay.
And that's why I say a lot of times too, I draw and they trace. So I draw, but I see a lot of tracing out here. And then they try to look about it. So you can always tell. So but you get mad, but then you also know you're on the right path.
Right.
So that's why this year, Black History Month jacket available tomorrow, February 6th. So that's a plug. So I wanted to do something different with this year's version because the last 2 years been a little loud. Like the first year I did it, like I said, we paid tribute to the 8-ball jacket and all that. Last year, I wanted to do something about gold because in Africa, gold is everything. Gold is a sense of honor, inherit, and all that stuff. So that's why you see the red, black, and green with the gold trim, the metallic gold stitching, and things like that. So this year, we want to be totally different. So I paid tribute to the Tuskegee Airmen. So that's why you see this year version look like a flight jacket.
Okay.
And everybody's going crazy over it because now we're in an era where clothes are too loud now. When I mean loud, I mean it's overexerted. It's patches everywhere. Everything is logo driven, and that's cool because they had a time for that. So I just wanted to make something clean this year.
Let me ask you this. I know this is not.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay,
Oh,
go
this
ahead.
must be two sides. This is.
When you said that,
It is two sides. You and her, one, two.
when you said to make it your own, okay, so as a wardrobe stylist, right? And I have a client, say for instance, they want an A-ball jacket, we're gonna go get it. But he wants me to do something funky and fun. So he said, does it bother you when they switch it up? Not when I say like adding patches or anything like that, but kind of make it, if I say like graffiti on it, kind of make it their own to kind of, okay, yes, I have it because it's authentic, but I want to kind of make it my own. I want it to be about me, what I represent and who I am.
Right. Well, in that situation, I never had to experience that yet.
Okay.
Because the design is just so cold that they just wear it. So, you know, that I haven't had that situation happen to me yet.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have planned for 313 Day?
Glad you asked that. I'm doing a gala, my first gala, March 10th. We're doing it at MoCAD at the Museum of Collective Arts on Woodward, and it's a black tie event. So I'm actually putting on the tuxedo, and if you know me, I hate dressing up. So I'm actually wearing a tuxedo, and proceeds of this, all of it, not portion, all of it, every dime, is going to two foundations that I care about a lot. One of them is the the Hip Hop Universal Museum in the Bronx, New York, because we got to pay back to what inspired us in the beginning. And then the second one is, second one is going to the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. So Jalen Rose is one of my best friends in the world. And he has a high school here in Detroit. I don't know if people know this. And I want to help him out financially, too, with some of the things that he's doing going forward, too. So it's really a gala with a purpose that we're not getting no money from. I don't want any money from. It's all going to charity, 100%. Yeah. And then the following day, we're releasing the 313-day jacket with the Detroit Pistons this year. And it's a surprise twist to it. So when y'all hear what it's about, y'all going to go crazy.
Dope. Can't wait. Stay booking business.
I know.
Rose line, not rose line. Let's say it together.
I just want to. I'm not gonna lie, Shay. I just want to put it in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this could be sponsored by Rose. Must be two sides sponsored.
Of course. I don't see nothing
I
wrong.
was trying to get there. That's what I was saying earlier.
Right.
I was gonna get my daddy. That's why I made it short.
Yeah, work your connect, Shay.
Yeah,
'cause
daddy.
Like he said, we gonna keep it in the culture
definitely.
right
We
here.
definitely, hey, must be two sides.
Oh yeah, we make sure y'all good.
Yeah.
Well, got any? Hi, Mom.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good.
So, how do you do? So, how long y'all been married?
Too long.
Okay, well, too long.
Actually, it'd be 15 years this year. We've been together 18, but 15 legal.
Okay. Do you help with the designs? Like, where?
No.
Oh, okay.
He will ask my opinion.
Okay.
And sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes
Sometimes.
tired. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes if he asks me, what do you think about this? And I'll be like, he'd be like, yep, I'm about to do it. And he'd be right. You know, so I'm yeah. But I'm still surprised about what you just said about them jackets. You ain't even tell me that.
You held a secret.
Oh yeah, we ain't been pillow talking lately.
Hey, they've been watching the episode. See?
Oh no, we ain't been pillow talking.
Oh no! See, no, this is the thing. When we say pillow talking, we talked about this last week, and it's just the whole fact that when you think about it, everybody pillow talk. This is your, you know what I'm saying? Y'all been together for 18 years, regardless of what. It don't matter what y'all talk about in y'all bedroom on that pillow. You know what I'm saying? That's y'all room. That's where y'all talk.
Oh, of course.
Of course, everybody pillow
There's
talk.
some things he don't even care about.
Nah, he just sit
Right,
there.
I'm not. Be like, okay. So did it cost us any money? Okay, I don't care about it.
Right.
If it's got something to do with the kids, his ears will go up, or money. Other than that, he'd be like,
And his
what?
grand dog.
Yeah. He'd be like, oh, for real. On
Yeah,
his
all right.
phone like this. Oh, for real.
So, quick question: who was the easiest? Like, who out of the celebrity world? You know, because you know all the work that you do. Who would you say is your easiest person for you to just be like, hey, look, we just gonna do this, this, and this, compared to your person that you kind of gotta like, come on, bro, we already did this. Look, don't you want?
You know what? I'll be honest with you again. I've been blessed and fortunate where I everybody, because they hit me now.
Okay.
So it's just like, you know, it could be anybody from, like I said, from Sada Baby to Jeezy, from Vezo to whoever, you know. So one thing about me, I always make sure I take care of home first. Right. So I make sure every time I come out with something, I make sure my brother Sino got something first. I make sure DJ BJ got something first. I make sure my people who supported me before I even went national got it. Shout out McNichols. Shout out everybody that's ever.
I'm so glad you shout out to Mac. Man.
Yeah. So
Mac.
you know, and it's a funny story with Mac Nichols too, because you know his dad was one of the founders of YBI,
yeah.
And I gave him a pair of ponies, and he started laughing. He was like, "You know, I can't wear this, man. My dad gonna kill me, but because of you, we gonna make it happen." Right. So, you know, those are the things that mean more to me, because when your city loves you, you're unstoppable, and that's what I tell people all the time. Don't trust nobody that can't go back to their old hood and get love. because that's your resume right there. You know, that's
I
why.
always say that.
That's why I named my wine Roseline, because I grew up on the 12,000 block of Roseline.
Is that a 7 mile, 6 mile?
Oh no! Well, you know what? No. Listen. It runs all the way from Oakman all the way to 8 Mile.
Right.
But the 12,000 block where I came from was like Oakman and Elmhurst.
Okay.
That area.
Okay.
You know, so I wanted to pay something tribute to them because I can always go back there, and I'm me. I'm not Ty Mopkins. I'm Roni. I'm from the neighborhood, and I get the same love that I got when I was sitting on the porch with them doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing about me. I'm always going to take care of my city first. So whenever you see me out of town, I always got some type of Detroit hat on or something like that. Or the first 3 words I'm screaming out is "What up, though?" You know, so yeah. So I make sure I take care of home first before I deal with any entertainers. But I'm blessed now that they come to me now, from Fab to Fat Joe to all of them. So I get DMs from everybody now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know this.
So now that you are obviously well-rounded
Uh-huh.
in what you do,
Uh-huh.
how do you come up with your next pattern? How do you come up with that next thing for you to do when it comes to design?
And you know what? That's a good question too, because whenever I do something, I figure like, damn, am I gonna beat next year's? Yeah, I'm gonna beat it. But I'm blessed that I'm in a lane that I know everything about.
Okay.
Meaning that with Starter, even with Pony. So I grew up on this. I knew what type of fabrications that we like. I know about patent leather. I know about suede. I know about textures. I know everything that you can think about with sports. And in sports license stuff, one thing about sports is every year is an anniversary of something, of somebody's winning or somebody's doing something. So what I do is, I was taught this a long time ago about, and I hate being that guy that be name dropping and shit, because when people do it, I be looking at them. But this is who I actually learned from. I learned from Russell Simmons. He said, listen, if you can pull the heartstring, you can pull the purse string.
Yeah.
If you can give them goosebumps, you got them. And if it's authentic, we're gonna win. So what I do is just put together, my daughter stated earlier that I was drawn since I was 5, where I was reading the sports section when I was 5 years old too. So I knew everything about statistics. I knew everything about the history of sports teams. I knew every player was playing in any league, whether it was football, basketball, baseball, hockey. So I just tell these stories and come up with gems. And right now, if I go to my phone right now, I already got the next 3 years Black History Month already planned, what I'm doing for the next 3 years. Okay. Christmas, holidays. Like I know next year, we're already working on the 35th anniversary for the 89 Pistons. So I'm doing stuff with that. So yeah. So I've been, when you do something that you love, it just keeps you passionate in what you're doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for college teams? A lot of people, they attach to their city and their hometown.
Yep.
Do you have any plans?
Yeah, actually, I'll throw a clue out. And I went to the great Detroit Southwestern High School. So we was known for basketball. So two of the greatest players to ever come out of there went on to play for 2 of the greatest college basketball teams ever, which was the 1990 UNLV Running Rebels, and we all know with the Fab Five. So legally, I can't talk about it because it's collegiate stuff now. So pros and all that we can talk about all day, but just know that you're about to see some fly college stuff. And I'm glad you asked that question, because back in the day, we wore college stuff out before we wore the pro teams out.
Yeah.
Because one of the coldest to this day, actually 2. Coldest to this day starter jackets was the Miami Hurricanes and the Georgetown Hoyas.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I died in Hurricane.
Yeah, so collegiate, that's a great question, man.
Is that harder due to
because it's still schools. So that license is pretty much hard to get and to do at a lot of times too, because the school, like you said before with the Ferrari, they don't want you defacing it.
Okay.
So their school colors, they don't want you messing around with it or doing anything special stuff with it. They want to keep it as is, because when you do something like that, you take away money from their bookstores. So when you're an outsider doing that, they don't look at that as the same as we're doing it with professional teams.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you say be your favorite one that you like all time that you put together?
Me and my wife talk about this all the time too, and I tell her, I say, you know what, that was one of my favorites. And they're like,
just
I mean, that's one of my favorites,
one of his
and that's one of my favorites. But actually, one of my favorites is not even a Detroit team. It's the Philadelphia 76er.
Okay.
Because that's the one I got robbed for.
Okay.
Right, and I
That's the
came back.
inspiration for the full
Right,
thing.
right,
Okay,
and it came back full circle. Right.
Full circle.
Yeah. So that would be one of my favorites.
So that'd be one of the favorite storytellers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's what's up.
Well, we got about 3 minutes, so we got to get our shout out portion in.
Go ahead.
So, Tavy, go ahead, shout yourself out, cuz, you know.
Yes, thank you for having me, you guys. It was such a pleasure. Nice to formally meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you as well.
It was such an honor to meet you today.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
When my cousin asked me to be on, I was like, woo, yes. Sign me up, no. But my brand is Twisted Styles. I'm a wardrobe stylist here in Detroit. And if you guys need any styling, whether it's for female or male, I am your go-to. I got you at any budget, and I say any budget meaning $100 to $5,000. I got you. 20. Just
and his cuz ain't want to say it, but you know how you said you can't trust people who can't go back to where they came from.
Exactly.
Cuz we project kids.
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Which
So,
ones?
like,
Which ones?
Denby.
There you go.
Denby. We from Saigon. We Spruce and Pine raised. You know what I'm saying? So with that being stated, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out to the twins.
You see how you see the jokes.
No, hey.
But to see my cousin coming from where we came from, you know what I'm saying? Like literally coming from where we came from, to see her excelling how she is. You can't say you ain't been styled in Inkster if Tavy ain't put
exactly. And you know what? Two of my brothers, man, love them to death, man. SJ and AJ, the Jacksons, the twins. They straight from Inkster and all that, and you know I love them. They're my brothers and all that. So shout out Inktown. Matter of fact, my partner Skrill in this is from Inkster too.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Skrill.
Okay.
Shout out Joel Jones.
Oh, go ahead, Todd. You know, we on you.
Joel Jones, my little brother.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Joel.
Go ahead. You know, you gotta give us a shout.
Well, I'm just gonna say the whole Detroit because people get offended when you don't say their name. So, shout out my family and all that. One thing I try to do is incorporate my family in everything I do, because God forbid if something happened to me, they still can carry it on and it still goes on. That's why I do so much, just in case of my demise. I still got designs that'll last up to another 5 to 10 years that'll carry on, and they'll reap the benefits from that. It's never about me, it's about them.
Brother, you know you Woog now. You the new Woog, so you got to go about the new Woog right quick. So you got a brand you wanna?
Oh yeah, I'm just a neighborhood clothes designer, Dre Stilo. This is one of my brands right here. Well, newspaper clothing. Also, you know, shout out to my boy clothing brand for anybody clothing. You know, just young dudes. You know, just trying to. We so into the streetwear that, you know, we just love the process of what we doing, and you know, from the graphic designs to the designing ourselves to picking the materials and everything. You know, it's a headache, but we love the process at the same time, and you know, we just gonna keep going with that.
It's a beautiful headache, man, because it's something that you love, and I tell people all the time. People look at me like I'm an overnight sensation, but this has been over several 100,000 nights.
Right.
It just didn't happen like that. Like I said, if you remember, I said I started this journey 28 years ago. So I understand your journey, and I appreciate it too. And one thing I tell the new generation, all that, I'm always here, man.
Right.
I'm always here because somebody had to be here for me.
Appreciate that.
Gatekeepers. Well, my shouts out to Rose Line. Like I said, we're going to be getting that sponsored by Rose Line. Must be two.
Speak it into existence.
You know, I got to shout out another local brand, Dark Fraud Collection. Shout out to the rest of the squad just not here. Key, Mac, we miss you. Mom.
Hey.
You're not gonna shout out.
You gonna shout out Joy Road?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, exit 9 in the building. Yeah.
All day.
Shay.
You already know. I'm gonna shout out Must Be Two Sides, of course, and always know you can catch us here Sundays at 6. Okay. Not
And before
6:30.
before we go, y'all need to understand who is y'all engineer. And I just want to say this because I'm into giving people flowers because that's how it should be. This man, you know, I hear y'all call him Miles and all that, but that's Doc Chill. This guy is a legend. And I'm not just saying that because he's in my face. And if you ever listen to any of the podcasts I've been on, I've shouted Doc out a couple times doing things, you know, and he doesn't
I didn't
even
know
notice.
that was him.
Right.
Because I knew him as
Right. So we came up in the same era, in the same time. And for us to still be here, that's the one thing that I would wish for anybody, that you have longevity. Because you got to understand like this. With Doc and even myself, this is my 5th decade doing this. I started in the 90s. Then you had the 2000s. Then you had the 2010. And then you had the 2020. So this going into that. And every decade I've been relevant in some type of way.
Yeah.
I ain't been whatever happened to old boy or whatever happened to so-and-so. I'm not good in a lot of things, but I'm good at this shit here.
Okay.
So when they throw that goat, so I'm not trying to be funny. When they throw that goat name around
Big
and
goat,
these Johnny
Hopkins.
come latelys that say, "Oh man, he's the greatest," all I gotta do is just say, "Google me."
Big
That
time.
That's all you gotta do.
For
Big
real.
time
All right.
Hopkins. God damn
Answer
it.
your phone.
Shout out to my daddy.
God damn it.
Tom
My daddy. Tom
Mopkins.
Hopkins. God damn it.
Thanks for coming, Daddy. It was such a pleasure having you.
I appreciate you.
I'm
Doctor, you
definitely
gonna tell him
glad.
answering his phone?
And hold on.
Yeah. Yes, Daddy. Answer your phone.
Got you.
And one more thing before we get out of here. Must be two sides.
Definitely. So sad.